The Colorado ghost town of Waldorf is unique because, single-handed, it was caused and named by a mining magnate who built his own little railroad, the Argentine Central, to create the town. Edward John Wilcox was another of the many colorful characters Colorado has produced. He was full of quirks and idiosyncrasies. A former Methodist minister, he decided he could serve the church better by making money and tithing than by staying on with any of his former parishes in Longmont, Denver or Pueblo. Success attended his decision, and by 1905 he was the owner of some 65 mines on Leavenworth Mountain, south of Georgetown. But the mines were high in the East Argentine district where it was difficult to transport machinery in and or out. So on August 1, 1905, Wilcox began building his railroad, starting over 8 miles away at Silver Plume and planning to grade switchbacks over Pendleton Mountain, the western wing of Leavenworth. By Colorado Day of the next year, the railroad had reached nearly 8 miles beyond Waldorf to a point almost at the top of Mount McClellan. A second ceremony was held which included driving a gold spike. The first had been held on reaching Waldorf. Immediately afterward trains began operating to haul freight and tourists. But not on Sunday. Wilcox would not degrade the Lord's Day. A post office was opened in Waldorf at 11,666 feet in altitude, claiming to be the highest in the United States, and Waldorf was prepared for a great future. The silver mines in both the West and East Argentine districts had been working since 1866 and been supporting 2 mills. 1 mill and a camp called Argentine, from the Latin word for silver, were fairly high in Leavenworth Gulch on the way to Argentine Pass. Everything went well at first for the town and railroad, even despite the ban on Sunday tourists. The little railroad made a great impression, and Wilcox was as proud as a racehorse stable owner as he added little Shay engines to his rolling stock. Early in 1907 British syndicate offered $3 million for his holdings around Waldorf including the railroad. Wilcox refused despite the enormous profit involved. But 1907 turned out to be a bad year. A depression started gathering momentum in the East. During the last 6 months of the year the price of silver fell 13 cents, and Waldorf ore was not worth hauling. By 1908 Wilcox was badly in debt and was forced to liquidate where he could. Wilcox sold his $300,000 railroad for $44,000. The new management took over in 1909 and made a bid for the tourist trade, which naturally included trains on Sunday. But the mines had never come back after the blow of '07. The tourist trade was not adequate to support the railroad with no freight to haul other than coal for the power company's maintenance station at Waldorf. In 1920 permission was granted for abandonment, and the next year track was taken up. Waldorf was truly dead. Since then, from time to time, assorted lessees have operated the Waldorf Tunnel, and the Santiago mine northwest of Waldorf on the side of Mount McClellan. While they were working, they took over some of the old buildings for a year or two as residences. In the 1950s Waldorf had 2 bad fires which destroyed the last of the big buildings and the habitable dwellings.